Greetings, community, and welcome to Entropy in Comics and another edition of Kevin's most anticipated reads tomorrow for New Comic Book Day, 6/18/2025. And here we are once again, and it's great to be alive. Appreciate each and every single one of you that cruise on through on the rewind. I really do appreciate that. And as I made mention before, it would only be half as much fun as it is. So let's get right to it. Starting off with Vault. Yeah, Vault's going to bring us Money Shot, issue number 2. Seeley's doing it once again, and the beauty is he brought Patton Oswalt aboard with him to go ahead and do another awesome iteration of Money Shot. This is definitely not for everyone. Definitely falls heavy on the mature side, and it's just pure fun, unadulterated fun. Like I said, not for everyone. However, it does offer a tongue-in-cheek way to look at how if you stymie science still tries to find a way. Their way is to go ahead and utilize pornography to fund their science exploration throughout the universe. And starting off with the galaxy, they are not only hitting off with every single alien they come across, pun intended, but they're also doing well in their mission in studying and pursuing science for science sake. Let's move on from Money Shot, issue number 2, which is The Big Bang, and starting and cruising over to the Dark Horse, starting with Usagi Yojimbo, 10K Plums, issue number 4. This is a 5-issue mini. I've really been digging it. The cool thing is what we're getting is the first 3 issues led up to the last 2 issues that we're going to get, which essentially are a 2-part mini within this 5-issue mini. I know it sounds a lot, but you'll understand if you already pre-existently reading this. I highly recommend those in which that are not. This is definitely leans more towards the teens, but it is something that anybody can pick up. It has a nice blend of folklore, philosophy, feudal Japan, folk story style telling, the palette, the art, the lines. It's just, it all works. Usagi Yojimbo is a classic. It's been around for decades, and it's just something that it's in its final perfection. If I can say that, if everything evolves to a certain standard, it's almost at its final iteration, if I can say. It's just awesome. It's flawless in its storytelling, in my opinion. Usagi Yojimbo by Stan Sakai is just awesomeness, and it's, I guess, purest form. So if you're not reading, I highly recommend Usagi Yojimbo, 10K Plums, issue number 4. You can pick any of these things up in their minis, and you can just jump right in. You don't need to know a whole lot of background to these characters or the storylines. Moving up from Usagi through Dark Horse Entertainment, and let's cruise over to Vatican, issue number 3. I don't know if I can actually say I'm a hardcore Mark Millar fan as much as I do appreciate a lot of the storytelling. I am starting to notice a little pattern to some of the things that he does. And that's saying it's not only rubbing me in a way that I'm not liking because I finally noticed it. I'm not going to tell what it is. But what I will say is, outside of that, I really enjoy a lot of the stories and subject matter that he talks about. I dig vampires. I like this particular story about vampires. There's individuals trapped at the Vatican, and they're limited resources, and they're trying to figure out what to do. It's kind of a cool concept. I've been enjoying this. So outside of my little irritated rub on my own little thing with Miller on the way he's delivering some of the stories of late, I'm digging Vatican. I really am. And it definitely is pretty high in my most anticipated reads. Excuse me. Moving out from Dark Horse, let's cruise over to Marvel Comics. Marvel's going to start off with Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 6. And here we are. Dig this ratio variant. This is actually kind of cool. This is really kind of cool. Very action oriented as far as in the picture that is drawn right there. It has a lot of kineticness into it, and I really dig it. And then I been getting anything and everything Rivals. Not necessarily for me. I do not play the game. Kai is rather adamant, and I've been getting them all. So, hey, even on stuff that I'm not even reading. So, what are you going to do? Back to the list. Marvel's Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 6. I guess you can say this is wrapping up an arc, but it really is leading into what I've already read that's going to be happening down the road into issue number 12 and 13. Again, pardon me. Hellgate is going to make himself known and quite for some time, but also it's going to lead into something that's a little more astral, and it's storytelling. There's going to be a split. That's a story for down the road, almost in the timeline of what we're, like I said, a few months from now. In this issue, we're going to end up seeing something that has been really leading up to some stuff. We've been established the new Spider-Man. We established how the story is going to be going. And with Hellgate pressing his issue, Peter's got to make some decisions real soon, or a lot of people is going to get hurt really bad. Moving out from Amazing Spider-Man issue number 6, and let's cruise over to Doom Division issue number 4. I have to admit, on this, I'm behind. I have not read Doom Division issue number 3. I'm still waiting on a bunch of books to come on in. So, yeah, I'm not only anticipating this because I've been doing everything Doom, but I've really been digging this. This is actually pretty cool. Between Doom Division and Doom Academy, I really been liking these support stories. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this once I get to 3. Just saying. Moving out from Doom Division issue number 4, it's coming out to everyone, and not only me, but you, on 6/18, 2025. Let's talk about Godzilla versus Avengers issue number 1 of like 6 one-shots. So what we're going to get is a series of one-shots with Godzilla. Also, we're going to get a bunch of Godzilla storytelling throughout the summer. By the way, happy summer. That starts this weekend. It's going to end up having pretty heavy saturation with kaiju stories. I'm not complaining because I'm pretty much picking it up, all of it. I am really interested in how they're doing this because it seems like they're trying to build a whole kaiju universe within the Marvel universe, I think. I don't know. I'm curious how this is working out. So, that being said, this starts it off. Godzilla versus Avengers, issue number 1. Coming out to you and me on 6/18, 2025. Let's cruise out from that, and let's cruise over to Gwenpool, issue number 2. I love the introduction. Gwenpool, issue number 1 was so much fun. Really what blew my mind is the look on Peter's face at the end when he's seeing who was behind that mask. That was awesome. I already knew there was some spoilers for me. I had already seen and heard stories and rumors of what everything was leading up to. That stated, it was still classic. I still can't get enough. If you haven't seen it already, or if you're not reading the book, if you're an Amazing Spider-Man fan, I do recommend it because it is kind of cool. It's. I have a belief that at the end of this, no, it won't change your life, but you will get a kick out of it. A significant individual is back, and they're wreaking havoc. It's pretty cool. Gwenpool, issue number 2. Issue number 1 had a great setup, in my opinion, and I'm looking forward to reading issue number 2. Let's move out from Gwenpool, issue number 2, and move over to Spider-Verse versus Venomverse, issue number 2. Again, in my opinion on that was a great setup. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. I already, again, like I said before, knew the premise and the setup of this. I've already been privileged to some of the information, so I already had some pre-expectations and anticipations of what was to develop. Thrown for a loop. Did not expect that there was already going to be a partnership between two individuals within the chaos and already understanding of what's going on, and things don't necessarily have to be one-dimensional in its perception or in its execution. It seems like, as in the case, as it always tends to be with heroes in our stories, they always try to find another option, and here we are, two individuals within the battle already trying to do so. This is another case of, in my opinion, the setup was done really well, and I'm looking forward to furthermore on this execution of this miniseries of Spider-Verse versus Venomverse, and this with this iteration of issue number 2. Cruising out from that, let's talk about Ultimates issue number 13. What is this 3.0 thing? My understanding is it's kind of like godlike. What the hell does that mean? I really don't know. I don't know. I've really been enjoying the ride so far with the Ultimates, but I've been also enjoying it. To me, it's been the significant hub that has been able to, I guess, pull together or have some deeper understanding and meaning of what the ultimate goal or seemingly what the goals are of individuals within the splintered out storytelling of this ultimate universe that will ultimately lead to what we're going to end up seeing. What is it, around November, when the console of reads, it's an ultimate version, I guess, are released. Here we are, a little over a year deep into this Ultimates, and yeah, this is awesome. I really been enjoying it. This is outside of the Spider-Man and Wolverine. It almost follows in that it does. It falls in that line. Yeah, in sequential order. How I just put it is how I've been enjoying the series, and I can't get enough. Issue number 13 is pretty high on my list. Let's cruise out from Marvel. Let's cruise over to DC quite briefly. They're going to bring us, this is now seemingly the only book I've been reading from them, which is DC versus Sonic the Hedgehog. As you know, I'm a sucker for crossovers. Issue number 4. This is another one of those that unfortunately I'm missing issue number 3, and it's just making me chomp on the bit. I'm a little bit behind on not only my reading but receiving. So I'm looking forward to not only getting but receiving but reading that book. 4 is pretty high on my list. I've really been enjoying the series so far. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's been awesome. Also, a third print of issue number 1 where it has Sonic looking like Batman. I bought a few of those things. I can't wait to put that thing up. It is so cool, and it just, again, to me, that really embraces and embodies in its picture and its drawing what this whole story is all about. Highly recommend it to everybody. It's a whole lot of fun. It's a nice break up to something really hardcore in your reading, because all you're going to do is have a great time reading it. Moving out from DC, which is DC versus Sonic the Hedgehog, issue number 4, coming out on 6/18/2025. Let's cruise over to Image, and they're going to give us our last few books. This has been a heavy week for me, I swear. Oh my God, I'm spending way too much. Moving out from my complaining, let's talk about, first of all, Youngblood, issue number 3. Liefeld is on a goal to release a legacy number of 100 books. That will allow him to hit his 100 number. It's something that he's been not only on the down low, but frequently talking to individuals that have been around him, but it's something that he's been rather persistent on, and this is the reason why he's been releasing these Youngblood deluxe books. We're getting this lead up to the legacy number. I can't remember where we're at right now. I want to say like 96, 97. We're only a few books away, and I know that that's the ultimate goal, is for him to make that number. Curious not only what that number is really going to mean, not only to him, but what is it going to mean in the storytelling of Youngblood. So I've yet to actually read again another one of this. I yet to read Youngblood issue number 2. Just saying. Can't wait to get into it. I've been digging all this other stuff. It really blew my mind when I ended up reading, what was that, issue number 1. It was, I believe, Joe Casey that I ended up supporting on some of the writing on that first issue. So, like I said, I'm missing issue 2. I have no idea what's going on as far as what's launching off of that, who's writing it, all that. Really curious. Blew my mind when I ended up seeing Casey's name on there. Looking forward to end up reading not only that, but as I said before, issue number 3. Just saying. But it's still coming out to you if you're already reading it. And looking forward to seeing what you think about what this new launch of the Youngblood Deluxe stuff is. What do you think of it? Curious. Moving on from that, let's talk about G.I. Joe issue number 8. You're probably noticing a little pattern here. I just read 6 the other day. I believe I do have 7, and I have yet to read it. I did see it. It was one of those. It's on my pile right behind me, and I'm just dying to get into it. I did read not only G.I. Joe, but I ended up reading Void Rivals and Transformers. I've been reading those in succession in respective timeline that they've been coming out to one another. So it doesn't, I'm not getting overly ahead of myself in one storyline versus the other. So it's seeming like they're all traveling it the same way. If they all converge at some point, I don't want to, what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So back to that. I'm really been enjoying this. G.I. Joe has really, really been amazing in storytelling. We are now finally getting the integration that I knew that we are going to get. As I saw with issue number 6, that was excuse me, a rude awakening and arrival of a introduction of a Jeep. Now it looked like a Decepticon to me. I could be wrong, and yeah, that's not exactly what our hero wanted, and it was most awesome what I was hoping to see. This G.I. Joe, it keeps throwing me left turns, and I don't quite expect it. I really been enjoying it because between the G.I. Joe and the Transformers storylines, they've been nothing what I remember or expected from traditional storylines. Void Rivals not only is really doing a great job supporting it, but it's been an amazing story on its own merit. And I've really been enjoying that, of it standing on its own. So even if you're not reading Void Rivals, you could still be picking up G.I. Joe and get a good idea what's going on. But I do recommend that you end up reading at least Transformers in the same way that you would be reading G.I. Joe, and in respectively the same timeline, because they are converging and they do support one another. Almost like in a, like when you get one of those event things and you have tie-ins, almost like in a loose tie-in, but that there's information there. Just saying. G.I. Joe issue number 8 coming out 6/18/2025. I'm dying here. Sorry. All right. Next on the list is I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer issue number 3. Yeah, what we're getting here is Hiller's doing a wonderful job of being able to give us past characters' background without getting overly, I don't know, forensics. Sometimes you can go ahead and give a background story and it just comes across real dry, real cold, and it doesn't give us any entertainment. Quite the contrary. When we're getting the storyline and we're getting a understanding of one of the main supporting actresses, and a past storyline, plastic, that we now see that many of these storylines seemingly are tying in to one another, and it almost seems like he has created a universe and just layered this cake to the point that we finally end up seeing really what it is. Because at first we really were just getting individual stories, but we didn't realize how much they were somewhat residing within the same realm of storytelling. And now that we're getting some of the background history of one of these characters, it becomes more fascinating to read because you end up delving a little bit more into not only the history and understanding of some of these characters, but also how not only they developed as individuals, but the world that developed around them and how it effectively made them who they are and how they are now and what their impression is to and of the world, if that makes sense. I really been enjoying this. I highly recommend all of the Hiller stuff. If you're into this hardcore, almost, very serial killer style storytelling, that's what you end up getting when you end up reading anything of his, which is plastic. Again, as this story is right here, I was a fashion school serial killer. It's the vinyl. These are really interesting and psychological stories, but they're very brutal and very visceral. So it's definitely not for everyone, but it is for those in which that not only want a real deep story, but one that is not only effective on your own psyche, but an understanding of others and how a different way to look at things, and not necessarily in the surface way that is presented to you. These type of stories from Hillard really does that. And that's probably what really made me gravitate towards his storytelling. I highly recommend, if you're going to go ahead and try anything, give this one a try. We're here at issue number 3. I'm sure you can pick up all the other issues. I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer. Issue number coming out of 3 to you and me on 6/18, 2025. Let's move on from that and cruise over to our last 2 books. Before we do, I want to recognize those that cruise on through. Hey, Jag. I go. Appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. No, you're never late. You guys, anytime you cruise on through, you're always on time. I just appreciate you greatly. All right, so back to it. Bug Wars, issue number 5. Silly me. Now, I made statement before that this was one of those storylines that I wasn't initially going to pick up. Frickin' did and loved it. It brought me back to certain memories like Bugaloos. Don't know if you're old enough to remember that. Also, I think it was of the Croft Superstars. Doctor somebody in the Incredible Shrinking. So, or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. This is much in that same kind of storyline, but it also has heavy influences, ties of a kid who lost his father. And his father, can't remember the name of those buggy people, but did a lot of research and development and had a background, science background in insects, and his son fell into similar footsteps. Being that his father was gone and he still had the same love for his father's passion, something happened, little crystal thing, and he shrunk down to size, and now he's living in amongst these bugs until he does something to go ahead and brings him back to size. He's now learning how to kind of shrink back and forth. Don't want to give too much away. This story is really has a lot of heart, compassion, empathy. This is more than just a standard story. You can feel a lot of what Aaron's putting in here. After speaking to him around 3 years ago, and after his story that he told, I can't remember the name right now, it was a 12-issue maxi series. He's been putting a lot of his heart into his story because of the things that have been going on in his personal life. Now, that I'm not saying it's both, either or both or anything negative, positive, or anything around it. What I'm saying is, in his life, he's been able to write a lot of his own personal or his feelings, or he's been able to invoke a lot of feelings in individuals that read his stuff. And after talking to him, I understood why. This is one of those stories that you really can feel more than just read and get a story out of it. You are getting a lot of heart in this storyline. And that is what definitely hooked me when I got it by issue 2. I was done and hooked, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm here for the short haul, 5-issue mini, right? Here we are, 5 issues deep, and yeah, we're done with book 1. So I now read Bug Wars is issue number 5, releasing tomorrow on 6/18. It's only finishing book 1. I wasn't supposed to be reading these long series like this. But here I am, hooked. This thing is great. Highly recommend it. If you're into something that's really on the fantasy side, something that really has a lot of heart, something that ends up, not only more than likely invoking a lot of your own feelings or possibly introspective ideas, but it definitely does bring you back to some old ideas of old storytelling, like I said, of the stuff of that not Land of Lost, but Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or anything like that. You can see elements of that in the story, and it's so heartfelt, heartwarming. It's very family stuff. With a little bit of gravity in there too. There's nothing that anybody can't read. I definitely all ages. It's just a lot of feeling to be prepared. Great storytelling, and Jason Aaron is doing it again. I'm just saying. It was second on my most anticipated read. However, this week, Blue Light Special is Exquisite Corpses, issue number 2. This is okay. James, in my opinion, Tanyan, that doesn't always necessarily stick the landing in his storytelling. More times than not, he either is ripped away from finishing off something that he says he's starting and supposed to be magnificent, or it's just a little flat on the landing when he ends up sticking his own story. I can name a few, but I'm not here to badmouth the stories as much as I'm here to tell you that Exquisite Corpses, in my opinion, is quite possibly the best story he has ever written. This, and it's just one issue, is like, wow, I see what he's doing. Not only have a setup of a story, but I'm seeing what he's doing with a setup of a game, a setup of an idea to where there are so many variables, anything could have happened in any different way. And what we're receiving is only one iteration of the storytelling by the writer. It doesn't necessarily need to be dictated in this way or this fashion by a game player, right? So the idea is what we're reading is essentially a game being played out by a group of families that are basically jockeying for position of the control of at least the United States, as it seems, and possibly, aspects of puppeteering of the world. I've only been getting the cover C's because that contains the cards. That is the card issue number 2. This is the cover to the poly. That is the back. And then this is the book. Yeah, I know, spoilers. And then this is the how it looks. I guess that's front. You know what I'm saying? When you get the regular cover, so that's all in the poly still. And then this is the Exquisite Corpses issue number 1, second print, 1 and 10. All right. This thing is actually going for some quite stupid money already. Thing is there is a card in here that is not like issue number 1 or issue number 2 card. It's a standalone card of its own. I have no idea what it is. I can't locate my cards to my first issue. So I am leaving certain in reserve. It's still in package because I'm starting to get as bad as everyone else, and I have no idea where certain things are at this moment. I've lost my mind. I'm looking everywhere for it, along with the cards. I may have put them in the box. My mind. And I might have the cards floating around. I don't know. But what I am telling you is Exquisite Corpses, issue number 2, coming out on 6/18/2025. Is, again, probably not only the best introduction to a storyline this year, but quite possibly the best story that Tanya may end up writing so far in his career. For those of you that cruise on through, I appreciate you. Agu, Ian, and Jag. You guys are most awesome. I appreciate you and any and all others that cruise on through on the rewind. I appreciate you too. If you hung out with me all the way through, well, that means you kind of liked it, huh? Go ahead and if you wouldn't mind, hit that little like, and if you kind of like it and you want to try it again, hit that subscribe, and I'll cruise on through once again for you. And that's it for me, Entropy. You guys stay well until next time.